Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Bendigo Bank MCDFNL review show. Back again on your computer screens this week. Shaun Kelly's my name. Joining me is League Operations Manager Scott Carey. Scott, welcome back to the review show.
Thanks, Shawnee. Good to be back.
Did such a good job last week, mate. We couldn't do anything but get you back on.
Just a usual case, mate. Carry on from last year.
It is indeed, mate. Fantastic work by you. Let's start talking about the MCDFNL season launch. Of course, it happened last Sunday out at Avoca. A fantastic day. Great to see so many people in attendance, and our guest speakers, of course, Doug Hawkins was absolutely fantastic, and we introduced new MCDFNL President Stephen Broad to the audience as well.
Yeah, it certainly was, Shaun. Fantastic day for all those that attended. Just a light lunch and a couple of drinks to get together and kick the year off, and as you said, new President Steve Broad was fantastic. Addressing the crowd, and Doug Hawkins is always entertaining.
I love the fact that Doug spoke for 20 minutes and then we didn't have any questions for him at the end. I asked him one question, he went for another 10 minutes, and then he decided when there was nothing left that he'd just keep talking. He was fantastic, Dougie.
Certainly was, mate. As I said, plenty of entertainment, and really got the day off to a good start.
Yeah, it did. Let's have a look at all of the results from the past weekend, though. Finishing off round one, of course, Talbot with the strong win over Malden that we spoke about last week on the review show, of course, in the Rotunda of Princes Park. Beautiful little settings out there.
Absolutely.
And we're going to talk about the continuation of round one, of course, which happened last week, and it happened with the grand final rematch between Navarre and Lexton. A bit more competitive this time around, but the result was the same, a victory to the Hoppers. Navarre 17-6-108, defeating Lexton 11-5-71. All the details are on the screen thanks to community training initiatives, as they will be all season, but Ash Driscoll, 4 goals, was the leading goal scorer for Navarre on the weekend. 3 each to Brennan and Parkin and 2 to Nick Murphy. For Lexton, Matty Brown booted 5 and Justin White kicked 2 to lead the way for the Tigers. Best for Navarre, Ash Driscoll, Josh Driscoll, Kay, Flood, Parkin and Redding. And for Lexton, Spalding, Templeton, Brown, Reid, Barnes and White. Solid start by the Grasshoppers, Scotty, coming up against a quality side in round one and showing that they want 2 premierships.
Absolutely, mate. A really good start for the reigning premiers. Probably not bad for Lexton either. Probably a bit of a surprise. I don't think anyone really knew how well they'll come with a lot of clearances coming in this year. But just a really solid performance, I think, from Navarre.
Yeah.
Pretty even first quarter, and then put the foot down in the second quarter. Probably again in the third, it probably evened up a little bit, and then again rammed it home in the last quarter.
That second quarter was the key. 5 goals to none in Navarre's favour, and the big thing that they did in that quarter was they clamped down on Matty Brown for Lexton, who kicked all of Lexton's 4 goals in the first quarter and was looking set for a big day. He kicked just 1 more for the day, and it was in junk time in the last quarter.
Yeah, you could certainly say that's probably got him over the line, or helped certainly.
Fantastic work by Navarre, getting their season off to a ripping start. Denali taking on Trentham, and I tell you what, we would have given pretty good odds on this one. Not only seeing a draw for the 2014 season, but seeing it in round one, Scotty. We don't see these kind of things very often. For it to happen first up in the season is nigh on remarkable. Denali 9-9-63, Trentham 9-9-63. Teams could not be split at the final siren. Goals for Denali, Collins and Devereaux 2 each. For Trentham, Whitehouse 3 and Cowell 2. Best for Denali, Warren, Conway, Campbell, Gordoys, Collins and Nagawi. And for Trentham, their better players, Whitehouse, Drew, Scoble, Naden, Whelan and Josh Murphy. Spoke to Trentham coach Clayton Scoble at the season launch, and he was really disappointed with this one. He thought it was one that Trentham let slip, of course. Denali kicking a goal late in the game, which to everyone at Denali thought that it gave him the lead and gave him the victory. Of course, the scoreboard at the end of the game said Denali was a point ahead, followed all the procedures. The goal umpires didn't think that was the case. They went through, they followed the correct procedures, checked with the timekeeper's cards, confirmed that the match was actually a draw too. I suppose Trentham's relief in a way in that they got 2 points out of it, but yeah, Clayton was very disappointed they couldn't get all 4.
Yeah, I reckon they would be, Shaun. I think they didn't have a bad year last year, Trentham, even though the win-loss column was a bit skew, but I think they would have come into this year, probably picked up a couple of guys over the summer and thought we'd probably a chance to win a couple of early games, and this is probably one they penciled in against Denali. I know probably a lot of people did tip Trentham, but credit to Denali, they've fought back, got that late goal, and took away 2 points.
Yeah, they did well indeed. Denali, of course, a bit of an unknown going into the season, so good to see their form out and about. Speaking of unknowns, Campbell's Creek, did they put forward an impressive start to season 2014. Up against Harcourt on the weekend, Creek 18-15, 123, defeating Harcourt 9-11-65. Joel Smith booted 5 for the Creek. His brother Shaun booted 3 as well, and 2 each to Slater, Hutchinson, Pollock and Cassidy. For Harcourt, Braden Wooten booted 3 and Mark Folwell kicked 2 as well. Best for Campbell's Creek, Berryman, Pollock, Hutchinson, Slater, Bogue and Greenwood. And for Harcourt, their better players, Chaplin, Wooten, Van Shake, Trevin, McLean and Quinn. From all reports, Harcourt missing a few on the weekend, Scotty, but don't take anything away from Campbell's Creek. They were fantastic on the weekend. 11 goals to 2 in the second quarter, really setting things up for them. And it was an old friend, Josh Hutchinson, former Berry Power medalist, that got things started for them with a couple of goals early in that quarter.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah, you can only play who the opposition put out in the park.
Correct.
And, they've done that very well, and fantastic win, and carry on some form from the pre-season. I think they knocked off Natte in a pracky game earlier in the year as well.
Yep.
So good signs for Creek in the blue ribbon round as well against their rivals, and they'll be very happy with that one.
Yeah, they will indeed. Great win by Campbell's Creek on the weekend. Also a great win by Newstead. The first time they've travelled out to Carisbrook in 4 years. They had to do it under lights. They took the 4 points away as well. Newstead 10-8-68, defeating Carisbrook 7-5-47. Goals for Newstead. Mark Ramsey's kicked 4 goals. He swung forward. Normally we see Rambo as a key defender, but he swung forward and booted forward to help get them over the line in the end. And 2 to Adam Hunter as well. And for Carisbrook, 2 each to Cunningham and Nick Wright. Better players for Newstead, Webster, Hunter, Gilboy, Kroll, Ramsey and McNabb. And for Carisbrook, their better players, Robinson, Wright, Tidyman, Long, Furness and Jacko Bowen. Bit of a surprise, this one, in many ways. I don't think we ever suspected Carisbrook to fall away so much throughout the year, and they've never lost a night game at Carisbrook before, but they've done that. Newstead's come in. Newstead were a team that I think a lot of people thought that with the guys like Sammy Kerr not playing this year, Ethan Ford not playing, that they'd fall away a little bit. I don't think that's going to be the case. Newstead are going to look very strong, especially bringing someone like a Pat Cummins in that's a key defender. They'll be okay.
Yeah, when you got the ability to throw Ramsey forward and kick 4, he's almost the James Frawley, the MCDFNL, the new swingman of the league. So that's a fantastic win. I think, again, Carisbrook, similar to Harcourt, probably had a couple out, but you've got to play, like I said, whoever's on the field. So probably Carisbrook will be disappointed to kick off the year with that, especially after bundled out of the finals last year, but full credit to Newstead. It's a great way to kick off the season, and they'll look to build on that. It's
going to be interesting to watch Carisbrook the next couple of weeks and see where they're going to get their goals from this year. Obviously, with Nathan Wright out of the side, it leaves 90 goals that they've got to find from somewhere, and they only kicked 7 on the weekend against Newstead. Obviously, it was under lights, so conditions were a bit more difficult than what they normally are, but it'll be very interesting to watch. And I just know Cole Roscola and the best players either, who has talked himself up massively this pre-season, and to the point where we're expecting huge things from him. I think he wanted us to give him the Berry Power straight up, but no best players on the weekend for Cole, so he'll be one to watch in the next couple of weeks.
I reckon he's penciled himself in for a couple of Max Player of the Weeks as well, Shaun.
Yes, he has, which we're going to get onto later on in the week as well. That's going to be a fantastic segment that we're going to put up there. Max Fashion and Surf Player of the Week. It's not going to be you this week, Cole Roscola. I can give you the tip. Let's move on and have a look at Sunday's game, Scotty. We'll start with the game we were at between Avoca and Natte Bealiba, and pretty good start, pretty competitive start early on. Natte a bit inaccurate early on, and at half-time, Avoca were well and truly still in the game. But then Natte put the foot down and really mowed it away from Avoca after half-time to get their first win of the year, 18-12, 120, defeating the Dogs 10-6-66. The Wiz, Ryan Weir kicked 4 goals for Natte on the weekend. Trent Mortlock and Zach Perez kicked 3 each, and 2 to Tawney and Ross. Murray Bond, at the other hand, a lone hand for Avoca, kicking 5 goals. Best players for Natte, Tawney, Perez, Long, The Wiz, Hall and Douglas. And for Avoca, their better players, Carter, Nankerville, Howe, Veach, Bond and Joel Howe. Solid win by Natte. Another team that with Mark Fitzgerald out of the side, we thought they may struggle to find goals going forward, but they've had 6 multiple goal kickers on the weekend. Trent Mortlock's obviously a big body who stood up and kicked some goals as well after being pretty impressive in the under-17 game earlier on as well. So rumours of Natte's demise, I think, are greatly exaggerated.
Absolutely, yeah. Good to see the juniors coming through, especially Trent. He's had senior experience, obviously, in the past, but certainly to continue that in his first game of the year, that's good to see. You can probably just tell at the start of the game it was a bit scrappy between both sides. Natte did get off to a couple of goals and Avoca pegged him back, but just had that feeling that Natte's class had just probably in a bit more depth compared to Avoca this year. We're probably going to run over the top of them.
Yeah, it definitely looked like a round 1 game in all reports, and obviously now with clubs having an extra week to train it up, you'd think that round 2 would be a much better indication of where both of these teams are at for the season. The last game for the weekend, the Maryborough Derby out at Jubilee Oval, and wasn't this an absolute cracker? Royal Park in the end putting together a pretty strong win, 6 unanswered goals in the second quarter, getting them over the line, 18-16, 124 to the Rovers, 7-5-47, but I just got the feeling the scoreboard doesn't tell the full tale here. 5 goals to Brendan Birch for Royal Park, 4 to Zach Tunbridge, 3 to Zach Stewart, and 2 each to Chauvin and Quick for Bushy. For the Rovers, Graham Kennedy kicked 3 goals and Matthew Batson kicked 2. Better players for Royal Park, Snowy Walker was best on ground, along with Birch, Taylor Stewart, Murdoch, O'Connor and Will Short. And for the Rovers, Grant Ryan was their better player. Ryan Goreski, Stewart, Popovsky, Kennedy and Westbrook were their better players. As I said, don't know really that the scoreboard tells the tale too much here, because I think Rovers are going to be okay this year. But Royal Park just had a fantastic day.
Yeah, certainly. I'm sure it would have been pretty fiery early on, Shaun.
No doubt at all.
Between the two rivals there, and from all reports, a fantastic crowd as well. So, really good stuff from Royal Park. They have a bit of work coming out of the camp. They're pretty confident this year. And
we know that they,
finals, so.
After they won the Club of the Year for AFL Vic Country last year, we did an interview with Stacey Hartwell on the website where she guaranteed that their seniors would play finals. And I know I spoke to their coach, Greg Stewart, about that. And he was a bit nervous about that last week, these public proclamations, if you will, early on. But look, they're quietly confident that they can do good things this year, Bushy.
Yeah, exactly. And you put a win on the board like that first round. It's always going to help your cause.
It is indeed. First round down, and of course, no games this weekend. Each club gets a bye over the Easter weekend, so we'll be back for round 2 action out at Trentham on Anzac Day, Scott Carey. Night game out at Trentham. We're going to go and have a look at how those new lights fire up as they play the Maryborough Rovers. But we'll talk about that not this Friday, but next Friday, I reckon. Let's have a look at the A Grade netball results from the weekend as well. And again, the grand final rematch between Navarre and Lexton. This time it didn't quite go to plan for Navarre though, as Lexton got over the line with a 46-38 win. Rachel Phelan, 27 goals for Lexton. Lisa Donhart, 19. And for Navarre, Jess Perry, 26. And Taylor Mason, 12. Better players for Lexton: Rachel Phelan, Kimberly Roberts, and great to see Crystal Fisher back into their side this year, who's going to make a huge difference. And for Navarre, Armstrong Matthews and Jess Parry, they're better players. Good win by Lexton, and she's having Crystal Fisher back in that side makes a difference, doesn't it?
Massive difference, Shawnee. Fantastic win for Lexton, a good start. I'm sure they probably a bit of fire in the belly from last year. That would have been a disappointing loss, but good win again. Round 1, I wouldn't count Navarre out.
Definitely
this
not.
Time of the year. So.
No, definitely not. And great to see Lexton's coaches standing up and leading by example. Rachel Phelan and Kimberly Roberts this year as well. Denali, a very strong round 1 win up against Trentham, 55-27. Megan Harper, 30 goals for Denali. Holly Wheeldon leading the way for Trentham with 11. Brooke Ballinger, Melanie Rose and Louise Carey, the better players for Denali. And for Trentham, Beck Whelan, Holly Wheeldon and Miles were their better players as well. Goodbye Denali, obviously wanting to consolidate a bit, had that early exit from the finals last year. They know that they're a better netball side than that, and they're going to want to keep going forward this year.
Yeah, absolutely, and starts are critical in getting towards the finals at the end of the year, and it's a solid win for them, and they'll build on that, and yeah, like you said, consolidate their spot and probably, not far off the top 4, really. Yeah,
that's right. Carisbrook and Newstead, 2 teams that are tipped to be pretty good this year, took on each other on Saturday night, and it was a close win to the Redbacks, 35-29. They led all game. Not much between the teams at either any of the breaks, though. Beck Lovett, 20 goals for Carisbrook, was fantastic. Alex Dempster started for Newstead with 19 goals, and Jenna Wright, best on court for Carisbrook on the weekend. Avoca versus Natte, as you can see some footage from that game on the screen at the moment, and a very, very close game, especially in the last quarter when Avoca's put in a 13-5 last quarter to really storm their way back into the game. Unfortunately, not quite enough though. Natte getting the chocolates, 31-28. Colleen Drummond, 17 goals for Avoca. Ebony Knights, 21 for Natte to lead the scoring. Cole Drummond, best player for Avoca. Naomi Medlin, Sherelle Martin, and Ash McClelland, the better players for Natte Bealiba as well. In the last game for the weekend, the Maryborough Rovers taking on Royal Park. Rovers 40 defeating Royal Park 22. Megan Gray, 20 goals for Rovers, and Gabe Fitzpatrick, their best player after crossing over from Malden in the pre-season. Shayla Street, one of our 17 under regional state league players, was fantastic in goals for Royal Park, shooting 14. Caitlin Priest and Juliana Sutton, the best players for Royal Park, along with Alicia Hovey. Some pretty impressive netball played in round 1, Scotty.
Absolutely, mate. Some good scores and Probably some closer matches than we probably thought at the start of the week, and that's going to set up the season very well.
Will indeed. That's done us for this week. The MCDFNL review show is over. Thanks to Bendigo Bank once again for their support of the show this year. We won't be back next week because there's nothing to review unless we want to talk about Scotty and I eating copious amounts of Easter eggs over the long weekend. So we're not going to talk about that. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time to review all of the happenings from the Anzac Day round in round 2 on the MCDFNL review show. Scotty, thanks for joining us.
No worries, Shawnee.
And we'll see you again on the MCDFNL review show in a fortnight's time.